What's up guys, welcome back. So in this video we will cover hypertrophy programming. In my last video we did strength programming, but I didn't get the response that I expected. So I've decided to tone things down a bit and give you guys my perspective. So we all know that high volume is associated to hypertrophy and high intensity is associated to strength. But the truth is we need a combination of both these two worlds, a mix of high volume and high intensity to maximize the hypertrophy and to increase our strength. Strength is your foundation. You need a strong strength base. Strength, hypertrophy and performance, they all go hand in hand. And there's enough scientific evidence and research backing this up. Well, before we proceed, I would highly recommend you guys to watch my video on high volume and high intensity and its relation in terms of hypertrophy. It's a very important video and it will definitely change your perspective on training. So please do check it out before we begin. Now let's start from the basics. So when you go to the gym to lift weights, your muscles undergo damage, also known as micro trauma or micro tear. Now when giving your body adequate rest and nutrition, your muscles or your muscle tissue gets bigger and stronger in order to reduce repeat damage or to get accustomed to the environment. So what I mean to say is when you go into the gym, you're bicep curling 10 kgs for 10 reps, you do see results over time, but then again you start to plateau. Well, this is because of inadequate resistance or variation. That's because your body is accustomed to the environment or to the routine of just lifting 10 kgs for 10 reps. So you need change. Well, now that you understand this, let us get to some of the fundamental principles that you need to know for hypertrophy. First one is progressive overload. What that basically means is over time you need to add resistance or weight to the bar. Basically, you need to add more resistance in order to stimulate more muscle growth. Second is muscle training frequency. As you get more experience and more advanced in training, the parameters for you to put on more muscle start to diminish. So you need to train more frequently and you need to train more harder in order to break plateaus. And third is variation. You can't keep training with the same movement and the same protocol year round. I would say 3 to 4 months, every macro cycle, it's best if you change it up a bit and mix up your movements a bit. And the fourth one would be mind and muscle control. You have to use proper form and technique and understand and feel the muscle. Okay guys, let's move on. Well, this table is a consolidation of a whole lot of information put into one whiteboard. It was very difficult for me, to really express the blueprint or to get it out in writing, but then again, I ripped it off from Omar Isuf because he had a great blueprint which really fits into whatever I have to say. So this relates to one training session, okay, the number of movements. I'm talking about one training session. You have 4 columns, movement in order of importance, primary to the 6th movement, function, 2 functions, strength and hypertrophy. Well guys, strength is basically your compound movements and hypertrophy is more or less your isolation, okay. Now that I say strength, it does not mean you're building or you're working only on strength. There is a lot of hypertrophy that goes into this. In fact, more than, according to me, more than what you're going to get over here. This is your main. That's why it's put on top or put first, the first 3. It's very important. You're doing compound movements, guys. It's going to build on one muscle. So it's going to work on multiple muscles for that matter. If you're doing bench press, you have a primary muscle and you have a couple of secondary muscles like your shoulder and your triceps. So in terms of hypertrophy, most of the work is done. You don't have to do that many lateral raises or that many variations for the shoulders or that many variations for the tricep because most of the work is done. And secondly, there is no best exercise for hypertrophy or no best exercise for building a big chest. That's all complete bullshit. What really matters is your exercise selection and your program. That is what makes the difference. Then you have the number of sets and the number of reps. Let's get started. So primary movements would be your compound movements. What I would usually put first is my big lifts would be like the deadlift, squat, the bench. To build that foundation on the strong strength base, set 3 to 6, 4 to 6 reps. Secondary movements would be to focus on weaker areas. For instance, I have a weaker upper chest, so if I'm doing chest day, this would be my flat bench, this would be my incline dumbbell press in order to build that weaker chest. 3 to 6 sets, 5 to 8 reps. And tertiary movement is your third movement, another strength movement again, compound movement. This is just to assist the first movement. If my first movement was flat bench, I would do flat dumbbell press, 2 to 4 sets, 6 to 10 reps, and that's perfect. Okay, now what you would notice is that the trend in this workout session is volume is increasing as we go down, as we go from top to bottom. which is good and which I've noticed is great for hypertrophy. Then you have your fourth movement, which would be maybe lateral raises, 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Hypertrophy or next movement would be bicep curls, probably 2 to 3, 10 to 15. And then again, you could do this tricep push downs, 2 to 3, 10 to 15. So this is a great idea and a great perception of how it should be, or rather my opinion. Remember to always keep in mind to use and to always incorporate progressive overload. That's the only way you'll make gains. For your primary movement, do progressive overload. Generally for this first movement, I would follow Prelipin's table, but let me just really break it down for you. Let's just say my 1RM on bench is 100. Even for hypertrophy, I think percentages is a very helpful and useful way of getting bigger and stronger and more all-round and more aesthetic. Okay, so if my 1RM is 100 on the bench, I would do 60% of that to start off with, 3 sets for 6 reps. The next week, 65 kgs would be 4 sets for 5 reps. The next week would be about 70 to 75 kgs, about 5 sets for 3 reps, and so on and so forth. So you progressively move week by week throughout this table and throughout this platform. But for hypertrophy, I would usually focus on short breaks and high volume. I would still follow the whole progressive overload, but I would keep the ranges over here. That is very important. Okay, now that we have the blueprint, or we have this under good understanding, let us move into who would use what and when. If you're a beginner, you can train 3 times a week. Your primary movement would be a squat or deadlift, maybe your bench, overhead press, calves, biceps, triceps. You don't have to train too much of biceps or triceps because all the work's been done here with your heavy compound movements. Keep that in mind. Or even if you're someone who's training about 3 times a week, you could do something like this. And remember guys, I did a video on splits. Do check that out. It will definitely help you out. Link is in the description. You can really use this format and allocate it in that manner or in that split to get the best out of it. Well, if you have more time to train, maybe 4 times a week, you can split the volume in that fashion. And if you're someone who's training 5 to 6 times a week, doing about 2 body parts a week, what you can do is you can incorporate 2 strength movements and 1 hypertrophy movement for a body part, and the next body part you could do either 1 strength and 2 hypertrophy. Perfect example would be chest and back. For chest, I would do 2 strength, 1 hypertrophy. I would do flat bench, incline dumbbell press, and incline crossover. That's 1. For back, I would do single arm rows. That's a strength movement. I would do lat pull downs or lat pull ins, hypertrophy, and I would do cable rows, hypertrophy. So it's perfect. It literally fits in this. Okay, you can fit this in by putting 2 muscle groups and training it twice a week. So then again, if I had to do chest in 1 session, I would split that 1 session into 2 sessions. Do you get my drift? Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it is as simple as that. So I really hope this video made sense to you. Please go back, watch the split video, watch the video on high intensity versus high volume in terms of hypertrophy. All that will make a big difference and will really break this down for you. If you guys like this video, and if I reach about 100 likes on this video, I will give you guys a free program based on this split, a 3-month program just for free if this video gets 100 likes. So make sure you like the video. What are you waiting for? Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.